Hey, by the way, tonight's game, New York wins that outright.
You know he's on top. Million subs, he never gonna flop. Out of Chicago, where the streets don't sleep. Betting on games, making cash real deep. Crystal ball for sports, he knows the lines. He's a sports aficionado, the money he finds. From football to basketball, he's always on point. Predicting winners never disappoints. He's got that hustle, that Chicago vibe. Making moves on the streets, cash on the side. With E, you know it's always a bet. He's the king of the game, never forget.
Hello and welcome to the Etoft21sports Show, for March 3rd. How is everyone doing? My name is Erik. I'm the man behind Etoft21sports. Absolutely loaded episode for you today. The man, the myth, the legend, my boy David, aka Better DP21. He is this week's guest. Him and I are going to talk some college basketball for tomorrow, plus share and give away a takeaway from last week. But before I get all that, I'd like to say thank you to the sponsor of the show, and I totally messed that up, ProphetX. Guys, if you're not using ProphetX, go to the App Store, download the ProphetX app, use promo code ETOFT21. We see with everything going on in the gambling industry, this peer-to-peer exchange, that is the future. If you guys are on it now, you are missing out. So go to the App Store, download that bad boy. That way they know old Uncle Rico sent you. Gino, unfortunately, could not send in his horse racing bet of the day. Busy spending that money from the winner that he gave out last week. So, without further ado, let's welcome this week's special guest from Denver, Colorado, the heartthrob, the guy who's tearing up because he knows the Atlanta Braves season is already over. My boy David, a.k.a. Better DP21. What's up, dude?
You're not wrong. I've already ruled out the season. I just said, man, it sounds like 2025 all over again. Seeing the news of Jerks and Profar again. I mean, he'll probably never play in baseball ever again now. But yeah, that's a way to get started.
So I was disappointed because I sent you a great tweet where this guy, and you never responded to it. This guy goes, starting DH addicted to meth. Starting shortstop fell on ice in a Looney Tunes accident. Down 2 starting pitchers. My ace is 37. Strider throwing low 90s. Joe Yemendez has grandma knees. Sean Murphy has 80-year-old hips. Bruce Elder. It just says Bruce Elder. Season hasn't even started.
Yep. Yep. We're doing really well there. Doing really well.
Dude,
that's the World Series team right there.
Dude, it's been a minute. I hope everything is well with you, dude. College basketball is right around. You always come on the Thursday before March Madness, and that's my favorite episode where you and I dive in. We give our bets, fill out a bracket. Wanted to get you on before that. I was happy you were able to come on, so thank you for that. We haven't talked in a minute.
Yep.
I will say this, dude, even though you were in that trashy Hokies fucking
we're here for college basketball, last 4 out right here.
Dude, Sweet 16's finest right here, dog. So what's your takeaway, man? It was an interesting week of college basketball. What's your takeaway from last weekend, my friend?
I mean, when you really kind of look at it, it's like we know, quick reference 1 seeds, Duke, Michigan, Arizona, and then, UConn's holding on, with Florida there. But, biggest takeaway is obviously, I think Michigan losing LJ Casson, right? It changes everything for them, right? I mean, we're not talking about anything to do with the final score. We're talking about their sophomore guard suffering torn ACL, and just like that team that many considered, most complete roster in the country has a real hole in it, heading, into the main tournaments. So that to me is a really a big, storyline there. They've got 1 true point guard in the rotation with Elliott. And they're going to have to obviously, have everybody else step up. But with Casson out, that's a big hole for them. And before the injury, he was averaging 11.8 points and like 2.8 assists and things that, I mean, he was up there, right? He was a heat check guy. So pretty much it's like it's more of a takeaway for brackets coming up, right? Michigan's still going to be a 1 seed, still a title contender, but their margin for error just shrank, like in my book.
I'm not the biggest Michigan guy. Yes, I know I'm wearing.
I see it. Yeah.
But my thing with them is all their big games, Cado's played lights out and they've shot great from 3. You know? And you see the games where they have yet to play a power team, if you will, where they haven't, you know what I mean? Where they've had like a struggle, if you will. I feel the same way right there. Fuck Michigan. It's going to be interesting to see how it all comes down with them. I would love them to play like a Texas A&M, someone that's going to play 5 out. I think they're really going to struggle when they play like a Big 12 team that's going to play 5 out. That's kind of my thing with Michigan. My takeaway is let's not count out Texas Tech. Now, look, I know they lost tonight. I did bet you tonight, so I'm just going to say that. But I think we should take a step back and talk about Grant McCaskillin for a minute. In my opinion, he is the best college basketball coach right now. And that's coming from a Michigan State guy who believes Tom Izzo's the GOAT. That's how highly I think of what McCaskillin is doing. When Toppin went down, most people, including myself, thought Texas Tech was done. With Arizona, Michigan, UConn, Florida dominating the national conversation, it felt like Tech quietly faded in the picture because we need to remember Tech beat Arizona, Houston, Duke. I mean, they were right there with those guys. The top and went down. Since he's gone down, 3-0, averaging 7.3 more points per game in that stretch. That's not luck, that's coaching. McCaskillin was very accurate. He went straight to the film room, made adjustments, reshaped the identity on his team on the fly. The lineup changes has been key. Luke Bombay has stepped into the starting role, has provided interior presence, rebounding, rim protection, physicality. Mosley embraced expanded roles, giving more versatility, energy off the bench. They've learned to balance scoring, then relying on one dominant big. Stylistically, you can see the shift. They're attacking the paint more aggressively. They enter the free throw line, involving the bench with a purpose. Offensively, in this small post-injury sample, they've been elite, posting the nation's best adjusted offensive efficiency in that span, around 146.6 according to advanced metrics. That's against legit competition. And think about it in context. In March, everything is a quick turnaround. Scout, adjust, execute. The ability to pivot midstream is what wins in the sport. McCaskillin has shown he can do that. Now ask yourself this. If some other top team in the country lost their best player, are they walking into a top 10 building and winning by double digits like Texas Tech did against Iowa State this weekend? I don't think so. That's why I'm not counting Texas Tech out. With the right adjustments, this team can absolutely make a run. The market may focus elsewhere, but coaching matters. You know what? With what Grant has done, I'm totally in. And people forget this team was up by 10 against Florida in the round of 16 last year.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like they should have won that game. I should have cashed my 40-1 future. I'm still fucking bitter about that. I'm a bitter old man. I'm still fucking bitter about that. But yeah, I just don't think we should count Texas Tech out. I agree. I think he has shown, and like to adjust on the fly. I mean, can you imagine what's Duke going to look like with no Boozer?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What is Michigan going to look like with I can't even pronounce the guy's name, number 23. The big number 23. What when you take what is Michigan State going to look like without Jeremy Fears? You know, UConn without Reed. When you take the big guys away, their best player, and then you go into Iowa State. I mean, dude, that was impressive as fuck this weekend, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's dive into some bets, man. Before we do that, we need to look. And dude, you know what? You're gonna see my record. I do need to tell you this. The first 2 weeks of this show, I was batting perfect. Last week I didn't bat perfect. Okay.
That's fair.
Let's look how we did last week. 4-2 on the show last week with Max hitting Bama and Mississippi State over 172.5. UConn and Florida moneyline parlay and San Diego State moneyline. Old Uncle Rico went a disappointing 1-2, hitting Butler plus 10.5, but losing Texas A&M plus 7.5 and Xavier plus 6.5. For the show last week, we were 4-2. So 4-2. You know, I was a big loser last week. Everyone loved it. Blah 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 blah. I'm looking to rebound a little bit. And the thing, you know what the thing that's funny to me, dude, is when I do well, no one says anything, but when I do shit, that's when I get my DMs. You know what I mean?
Of course. I mean, why not? It's like the best time.
The best time. The best time. Hey, quick comment here, and it was funny. You and I were talking about this before we started. Did you see the Clemson ending? Yes, I saw the Clemson ending. For those who don't know, I was sitting on Clemson plus 3.5. Went into UNC down by 3. Hunt down by 3. 10 seconds left. They called a timeout at midcourt. Hunter, their senior guard, who was electric all game, drives, tried to initiate contact, should have made the layup, missed the fucking layup, had a tip, missed the tip. He has his heads like this. The other guard comes barreling in, fouls a UConn guy with 0.9 left. Now there's still hope because they're in the 1-and-1. Guy fucking nuts the first, misses the second. This Clemson guy gets the board, and he doesn't try to shoot it. He just takes one dribble and tries to draw a foul from a North Carolina guy and just chuck it. I mean, of course they're not going to call it, but it was just a comical of errors, my friend. Just
yeah, I know we were talking about that just before we got on here too.
Did it comical errors. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about some bets, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a little pissed off because I was going to bet this one, but you beat me to it, so I had to get really grimy with one of my bets.
Yeah, really appreciate it. You know, you versus me, I had to take the same play. But, you know, biggest thing, all right, so first play of the night, we're obviously taking Penn State here, plus 8.5. And, you know, at home against Ohio State on their senior night at Bryce Jordan Center. So I know how this looks, right? Everybody looks at records, 12-17, Penn State, 3 Big Ten wins, you know, but hear me out because I do have some data, you know, not just a feeling, you know, about where this is at, but, you know, let's start with the guy with what this night is about. Josh Reed being honored on senior night, you know, has led Penn State to all 3 of their Big Ten wins this season, averaging 19 points per game in those victories. Not a coincidence. He is a transfer who averaged under 3 points a game at Cincinnati for 3 years, but this has been his breakout season. And it's a once in a moment, you know, kind of shot kind of thing. I know it's like cue up that Eminem song for him or something, but you know, basically he's putting up a career high, just put up a career high against Iowa on Saturday. He's locked in. Pair him with his freshman, Caden Mingo, who's also genuinely special. Now, I know there's an injury question mark on Mingo since he left that game late, and you know, they just said on Monday that they'll be evaluating him day to day, but, you know, they're discounting Penn State because of that uncertainty. So here's the flip, right? If Mingo plays even at 70%, he's so disruptive. He's a big disruptive defender on the floor. If he doesn't play, you know, they'll get Freddie Dillon at 14 points per game and 7-footer Ivan Jurt, right? So he's also had 2 double-doubles this season. You know, and 14 against Ohio State in the first meeting. So he'll absorb all that, right? But speaking of that first meeting, Penn State, you know, turned an 18-point halftime deficit into a 1-point game with 11 minutes left before, you know, losing 70-84 in on the road, right? They've already proved they can hang with this Ohio State team on the road. Now it's at home. Home field advantage in college is huge. I say it all the time. Anytime we're talking, it carries more weight. This is senior night. You know, on the other side, Bruce Thornton leads Ohio State at 20 points per game. He is their engine, and Mingo's going to be that perfect body to bother him all night. So, you know, looking at Mingo to play, obviously, in a lot of my evaluation here, but Ohio State is 18-11 overall and just beat number 8 Purdue on Sunday. So this is exactly what has 67% of the public on them. Everybody's riding that public wave, and the wave is carrying them straight into a trap, in my opinion. Right? I love a contrarian play. I love an at-home team that knows how to close out, their schedule. And this is definitely going to be one of those that, with the senior day at home, their players are going to be thinking about this, right now, tonight. It's all motivational gap is real, and it's not priced into an 8.5 point spread. So to me, this is like a very big confidence factor, and everything else. And I really like the average. I think where people always also seem to forget is that in basketball, the average point differential for teams to win is 9. That's a key number, like in terms of just, where things land. You can usually bet teams up to 9 points. And so right now, getting that 8.5, you're right there. You're taking the spread points at that because it's really going to favor to the home team's advantage. So that's where I'm coming in. Like I said, it becomes definitely a math game, but it's definitely one that, Penn State can definitely own this matchup at home.
I agree with everything you said. My big thing, someone commented letdown spot. Like if you just kind of look at their games, what was it? It was Virginia, Iowa, Michigan State, Wisconsin, coming off a win for Purdue. Now you have to travel to Happy Valley midweek with a game against Indiana on the weekend, which could be a playing game for the tournament. Classic letdown spot. And I had some 3-point stuff going on. I think they're due for a little 3-point regression. Are we playing the money line? Question mark.
You always sprinkle a little on the money. I mean, we're not betting on these teams to cover. We're betting on them to win outright, right? I think Penn State has a real legit shot of winning outright. So yeah, I would definitely play a little something on the money line for sure.
I'm going to be playing both 100%.
Yeah.
Sure. Now, I have to admit, I follow this Twitter account. This Twitter account is the best Twitter account to follow. I don't know if you're familiar with Mississippi Valley State basketball. They are one of the worst programs in college basketball. They have an unofficial account.
Okay.
And so they're able to get away with a lot more stuff. And the stuff they tweet out after games, hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. One of the, best follow on Twitter, 100%. College basketball conference futures. I did a couple, dude. What I do? I did Queens to win, Coastal Carolina to win. Oh God, what else did I do? My boys at Northern Colorado to win. My boys at Denver to win. Yeah, all these like lower budget, lower level tournaments. This is where I'm swimming in right now, man. My first bet, I am going to SMU here, -1.5. Laying the small number here. Feels like a must-win bounce-back situation for the Mustangs, coming off a tough West Coast trip, 20-point loss to Stanford, 4-point loss to Cal. Now they return home, one of the best home court environments in the country. The metrics back it up per Haslam metrics. SMU ranks 38th in home court advantage, while Miami grades out as 143rd best road team. Miami comes in newly ranked, but they close the season with Louisville at home. That's a possible look ahead dynamic. More importantly, their performance profile changes away from home. Offensively, SMU is elite at home, 81.5 points per game, 49.7% from the floor, second nationally in home splits, 40.9% from three, first nationally in home splits, 119.6 offensive rating, 26 nationally. They average 8.2 made threes per game overall, but the number becomes more effective at home. Miami allows 35.1% from three, 269th nationally, which sets up well for an SMU team thrives on perimeter efficiency in this gym. Ball security, another edge. SMU averages only 10.3 turnovers per game at home, top 10 in home splits, posts 16.2 assists per game in the building, and a tight spread, valuing possession metrics. Miami does force turnovers, but Their own turnover rate creeps up on the road. Defensively, SMU is strong at home as well. Holds opponents to 44.3, shooting 79.3 points per game in the building. Miami's offense is effective overall, but they're scoring dips in conference road settings compared to home. Rebounding is strength for Miami, but SMU's defensive rebounding should be able to neutralize a second chance opportunity when you combine elite home splits, strong ball security, road vulnerable opponent, and a clear bounce back spot sets up for a strong position on SMU. I'm comfortable laying a short number here with the Mustangs at home, my friend. This is random. Did I ever tell you my SMU story?
I don't think so.
So when I first got into coaching, one of the first kids that I coached, his dad was the guy that went and got the envelope and gave the envelope to Erik Dickerson.
Oh shit.
So he had that.
Wow.
So his and I was like, and looking back at it, SMU was just ahead of the NIL program, dude.
Yeah.
They're
kidding.
They're just ahead of the curve. And you're staying in the great state of Texas, my friend.
Yeah. So second play, we're taking Texas plus 7.5 at number 20 Arkansas. So public is on Arkansas, likely because they're a home team here, right? Razorbacks are 15-1 at home and fighting for a top 4 seed in both the SEC and the tournaments. So that's the narrative, and it's real. But here is also what's real, like from my point of view here, right? Texas side of this game just woke up, and it just happened. So Trayvon Mark dropped 23 points in Texas's win over Texas A&M on Saturday. And Sean Miller called it one of the team's best defensive performances of the year. Pope added 17 with just, one turnover in 39 minutes, running the point against the full court press. That kind of backcourt pressure on the road against a physical team is exactly what we need to cover a 7.5 point number in Fayetteville. So here's the wrinkle that should have everybody looking at this number. Dalen Swain scoring 17, about 17, 18 points per game, averaging about 7 rebounds. He's been one of the conference's best players since January, shooting 54% from the field in SEC play. And Swain is a matchup nightmare at 6'8", who can, face up or go to the block. He was the double-double guy at A&M win, and he's the reason Texas can keep this competitive in the paint where Arkansas wants to dominate, right? So now here's the other side of the story that I don't think the line has properly adjusted for, but Calipari has said, even on his most recent radio show, that both Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas have been in walking boots in recent days. Have you ever been in a walking boot? Like, I've been in a walking boot just from training. That shit takes months to heal. So, like, they don't just put you in a boot just for the sake of it, right? Like,
yeah.
And those guys, Acuff is averaging 22 points. He's the favorite for SEC freshman, I'm sure, an MVP candidate. And then, but he's got a noticeable limp even in the last 3 games he's played. And so, that's, if the ankle is real, and that line should be closer to 3, in my opinion, right? So that line would definitely adjust downward. And that's why I think people need to be jumping at this a lot heavier from that perspective. So, there's also kind of a revenge subplot nobody's talking about, right? Trayvon Mark played for Arkansas, right? And now facing former team for the second straight season. So last year he played here, lost in overtime. This year he just dropped 23 in a road win. And now he's coming into Fayetteville kind of on a mission. Players remember, right, that you can bet on that memory basically. But Texas is the nation's 7th rated offense. And at 87.5 points per game, even against a good Arkansas defense, that offense isn't going to go quiet here. Mark, Pope, and Swain are a 3-man unit that are going to keep Texas within a possession or 2 for the full 40 minutes. So that's all we need to cash, at 7.5. So really like the confidence here, of 7.5.
Longhorns, they're great, man. And I hit the nail on the head. I mean, walking boot with your best player,
Right.
should be in the Naismith conversation. That is a big thing. Texas has been looking better. They looked really good over the weekend against Texas A&M. They have a couple guys that can take over. Yeah, I definitely like this angle. Another one I was looking at too, Jackass. So thanks for that. My next
just trying to keep your record streak going this week. That's all, man. You know.
I am going up to Marquette plus 4.5, taking the points here. We've said it before. We fade Kim English as a favorite, and while Shaka Smart's team has been inconsistent this season, I trust Smart in this type of spot. Shaka as an underdog, 56.1% against the number, 8.3% ROI. As a road underdog, 58.8% against the number, and 13.2% ROI. Kim English as a favorite, 41.8% ATS, negative 20.3% ROI. As a home favorite, 45.2% ATS, with a negative 13.5% ROI. From a historical standpoint, this matchup clearly leans toward Marquette in the underdog role. Providence enters on a 3-game winning streak, but to me, this is a potential look-at spot. Georgetown's on deck, even though Ed Cluley is no longer at Providence. Ever since he left, the rival element still matters, and that game carries emotional weight to close the season. Now, let's talk about shooting regression, something I emphasize heavy in college basketball. During the 3-game winning streak, Providence is shooting 47% from three-point range, while their opponents are shooting just 18% from deep. That type of split is simply not sustainable. The Friars are due for negative shooting regression, while Marquette is positioned for some positive regression against this defense, which is due for it. For those who don't know what that means, at the end of the day, everything all averages out. You know, there's going to be those games where you shoot like really well, then it's eventually just going to all come back to the medium. And I think that's what's going to happen here for that. We look at recent history. Marquette has won 5 straight against Providence, 4-1 ATS in those last 5. From a possession standpoint, Marquette has an edge, 1.1 plus 1.1 turnover margin, forcing nearly 12.4 turnovers per game, 9.3 steals. Providence sits at a negative 1.5 in turnover margin. It generates far less defensive pressure, averaging just 5.3 steals per game. Extra possessions matters, especially in what projects to be a competitive game. Defensively, Providence has shown inconsistency at home, allowing 84.4 points per game, giving up 35.9 from 3. Marquette's offense isn't elite from a raw efficiency standpoint, but their defense is reliable, holding opponents to 76.5 points per game and limiting efficiency looks. If it turns into a low-scoring grind, even with a high total posted, I trusted Marquette's defensive structure and ball security more. With regression likely coming for Providence and the market inflating the Friars off a hot shooting stretch, this kind of feels like a buy low opportunity at Marquette. I'll take the points here with the Golden Eagles, my friend.
I like it.
Next one, dude. You're going to my neck of the woods.
Yeah, you know, it was an interesting board. So third play, this might be the uncomfortable one, right? This might be the one everybody reads this and goes, you'll want to skip. Don't skip it. Okay. We're taking DePaul plus 3.5 at home against Villanova. Yes, DePaul, the team with a losing record. Stay with me here, right? So the whole case starts with the personnel matchup the public is completely ignoring again. Brandon Macklin has replaced CJ Gunn in the starting lineup and is averaging 16 points per contest over his last 6 games. 16. That is a legitimate scoring run at exactly the right moment of the season. So Gunn, at 6'7", with a 45% field goal percentage on the season, gives DePaul a second scoring option, who already showed 15 points on 6 of 12 shooting against Villanova in the first meeting, right? Layer in NJ Benson, averaging 17 points over his last 5 games. You got 3 DePaul players in current double-digit scoring form, all playing well, all peaking at a home game here. So Gunn was just named Big East Player of the Week just weeks ago after a career-high 31-point explosion against Marquette, right? 7 made threes, 6 of DePaul's final 7 points to seal that win. This is a player who can really go nuclear on any given night. So in a 3.5-point game at home, you know, a Gunn explosion covers your ticket here, right? This is definitely a money line play. where you're looking at it now. On the Villanova side, there's a real injury question I also don't think is completely factored into this line. Biggest concern for Villanova heading this game is the health of Matt Hodge. And the expectation is he won't be suiting up. So, from that, Tyler Perkins is going to have to lead Villanova, averaging, 15 points over their last 10. Caden Lewis also gives them, 12, and 5 assists over, their game, right? So Lewis is going to be their engine, but he also contributes to, Villanova's 9.3 turnovers a game average, right? He contributes to the turnover margin, basically. So DePaul will pressure him. And, Gunn also has a history of about 5 steal games exactly against this type of ball handler. So the head-to-head data point that really seals it for me is that in their first meeting earlier this year around New Year's Eve, DePaul actually had a 4-point halftime lead and 5-point lead with 7.5 minutes left. And then Villanova went on a 20-10 run to escape really just winning by 5, right, on their own floor after nearly blowing a double-digit second-half lead. So the spread is 3.5. They're at home. They got a hot shooter in Macklin, Benson shooter surging. They got Gunn capable of any, night over 16 and above. And so DePaul really just needs to replicate the first game's competitiveness, not give up a late run like they did the first time, which is very achievable here. So also knowing home records, like I said, they really matter in college. So DePaul's 11-5 at home this season. Villanova is shooting 34 from the floor in the first meeting. They were lucky to escape, right? So now with DePaul's home crowd, 3 guys playing their best ball in double-digit land, and Nova probably won't shoot that poorly again, but DePaul won't give up a 5-point lead either. So I really look at this as more maybe a money line play where that kind of settles before the game. But I really still like to take the points at home with a home team here. So it's the uncomfortable play that makes sense. And I really like the 3.5 that they're getting.
Ever since DePaul changed where they played, they used to be, it was was a weird setup, man.
Yeah.
They're right in the city. They used to play out, I'm spacing the arena. It's out by Rivers Casino. So a little bit by O'Hare. And they used to play out there. It made 0 sense. There was no one ever at the game. Now they have an arena that's closer to the stadium. They get a little bit more energy there, a little bit more juice. Villanova's coming off a physical game against St. John's. I totally see this. And the Demon Deacons have been a bitch at home this season. So I totally like this. Now, my next play, and look, I am getting grimy. I am going into the weeds. This play I did not know because I had 2 of my bets cock blocked by that gentleman over there. So my bet, I'm going Jacksonville and Bellarmine under 69.5 for the first half. This one starts with Temple. Jacksonville plays at one of the slowest paces in the country, 354th nationally in adjusted tempo at just 63.1 possessions per game. Their style is deliberately half-court heavy, defensive focus, fewer possessions, naturally leads to low-scoring options. Offensively, Jacksonville averages just 32.9 first-half points per game this season, which ranks 267th nationally, even against a Bellarmine defense that hasn't graded well analytically. Jacksonville's pace alone suppresses scoring ceilings. Bellarmine doesn't push tempo either. 322nd adjusted tempo at 64.5 possessions per game. While their overall offense efficiently looks solid on paper, their games tend to start methodically with limited transition opportunities. Season long, Jacksonville averages a 68.6 total first half, already below the 69.5. That reflects who they are, a low-scoring, grinded-out team averaging just 69.2 points per game in the first half. There's also a broader tournament angle here. Historically speaking, first-half unders in the ASUN Conference Tournament have hit at 59.3% with a 12.9% ROI over the last 20 years. these environments matter. The games all start at neutral site, unfamiliar gym, different sight lines, new rims, early start time, add in the natural tightness of a tournament setting, and you often see cautious possessions early as the teams feel stuff out. When you combine two bottom-tier tempo teams, Jacksonville's limited first-half scoring profile, historical tournament under trends, neutral site shooting variables, this sets up for a strong position on the first half under. Give me Jacksonville, Bellarmine, under 69.5 for the first half, dude. How do you like that, dog?
I love it. I'm going to play it just because it makes sense.
Dude, like,
it's like throwing the Hail Mary up. All right, let's go.
You got to get grimy, dude. You got to get grimy.
Yeah, you really had to look since I took your pick, so I appreciate you on this one.
Dude, you had to get grimy, dude. Real quick, I'm just going to pull this up. Dude, I'm telling you guys, for those that don't follow this website, this page on the old X account, dude, I mean, just a phenomenal follow here, dude. I mean, look at, we effing did it. Hashtag hell yeah. After they won. Halftime, not as good as I was expecting. I mean, this is just, it's just phenomenal. Where's the one? They just won back-to-back Division I games. We're not the team that you want to face in the tournament right now.
That's amazing.
Where's the other one? Austin, UAB's head coach. We're emotionally unstable, and it shows. We're up 10 to 12 points, and then we just lose our effing minds, and we get effing texts. Another one, like, but see how, like, they didn't spell one. They spelled it double.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
I mean, dude, just a phenomenal. Like, if you guys like basketball and you're not following this account, you guys are totally missing out, dude. I mean, this account is just absolutely hilarious, dude. Especially like when they're getting their asses kicked and they really start like going at it is just effing great, man. David,
I love it.
I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your schedule, coming in, talking a little shop. Why don't you tell everyone whether you can find you on social media, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, really appreciate you having back on. Always great. I'm really looking forward to doing our bracket breakdown in just a couple of weeks as well. So, there's going to be a lot to watch for before that bracket drops. Does Florida steal UConn's 1 seed, right? What kind of Big Ten, bubble bloodbath is going to happen between Ohio State, Indiana, and potentially Wisconsin? And, which bid thieves are coming out, right, of the woodwork, really. So, going to be interesting, but look for me on social media, cross same handle, cross everything, better DP21, better with an OR.
Make sure to give that again, a follow. I'm looking at Bracket Matrix right now. They're 1 seeds: Duke, Michigan, Arizona, UConn. 2 seeds in this order: Florida, Houston, Illinois, Michigan State snuck in.
Does it list the first 4 out? Does it list them? Come on, right here. First 4 out.
Others at large. It has VCU, Auburn, San Diego. There you go, dude. Number 4. High tech, right? Look at. I like Bracket Matrix because it's pretty spot on with what it does. Just kind of looking at it here real quick. Gonzaga is a 4, kind of stands out to me. I mean, I'll be a little bit, in my eyes, you really want to stay off that 8-9 line. Okay.
Yeah.
St. Louis being an 8 for me is brutal.
That's crazy.
I mean, I would love to see them on the 7 line or drop down to 10.
Yeah.
I like, because I think that's a team that can make some noise. They have NC State at 9. All I know is I can guarantee that if how the tournament's going to be set up is if NC State and Michigan State win, they're going to play each other because Michigan State's starting point guard from last year transfer to NC State.
Got it. Yeah.
So I guarantee they'll play. Last question before we sign off. If Miami of Ohio doesn't get into the tournament, do you feel they should be in? If they don't win the tournament, excuse me, do you feel they should be in?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, they're a ranked team. They're undefeated. Why they deserve a spot.
Even if it means that they take away a spot from your Hokies.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I definitely think so. I thought that I actually saw that softball coming, and yeah, I was ready for that one. Like, yeah, they absolutely should take one. I wasn't expecting Tech to be in, really, so I definitely think Miami of Ohio should get a spot.
How funny would it be a two-bid MAC conference? I'd love to see it. Give that man a follow at BetterDP21. We'll be back next week with my boy Wade, aka Proven Wagers, on social media. Best of luck in your bets, and we'll talk soon, brother.
Thanks, my man.